I'm Kevin Jacobsen of Gold Derby here with Adrian Holmes, who plays Uncle Phil in Bel-Air, which is a modern reimagining of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And just starting right there with the original, James Avery played Uncle Phil in the original show. So what kind of balance was there between sort of honoring the work that he did and having some consistency with what he did in that show versus creating just your own version of the character?
Yeah, good question. James Avery, what they captured back then was lightning in a bottle. It was just an amazing, show. And it was authentic. They all did brought themselves to the roles. And to fill his shoes is virtually impossible. I mean, it's impossible to do what he did because that was unique to him. So I didn't want to put that kind of pressure on me. I grew up during the original show, so I watched it in real time. He was just he was just such a good man, and a real leader in every sense of the word, and just a good listener, and just he had all these incredible qualities. He's very inspiring, and so that energy, those qualities are qualities that I definitely try to emulate and to create well, not create. I just tapped into that. And for us, we want to create that same lightning in a bottle experience that they created in the 90s for this generation today. And in order to do that, we had to just tap into our authentic selves and create these characters as truthful and honestly as we could. And that's what the showrunners and Morgan Cooper wanted us to do, was to not feel that we had to reenact or do what they did. They wanted us to take the reins and have fun and create these characters as authentic as we could for this generation, so that down the road they'll look back at this show the same way we look back at the original. So
Yeah, well, I think to a certain extent there was some skepticism, I suppose, about just how this show would approach the material, because I think there's a version of this that might feel unnecessary maybe, or just too over the top as some kind of like dark gritty reboot that some people might have imagined. But this strikes an interesting balance, and I'm curious if there was something. I mean, you spoke to the authenticity that Morgan Cooper was kind of approaching this material with, but were there other aspects to the show that that it made you feel confident that you were in safe hands, or that this was the right approach for the material?
Yeah, when we read the script, right off the bat, we knew that this was special. We knew that this was definitely going to be something that was going to resonate. And if we did it right, we could be sitting on something pretty special here. That we got the blessings from the original cast, Will in particular, and Daphne Maxwell Reid and Jazz, and so we just knew the assignment, and we just knew that if we just all did our part and were of service to it, we'd be okay. And Morgan, he's such a visionary, and he's so confident, and he really made us feel safe. We knew going into this that we were in good hands. And so that really gave us a lot of comfort, moving forward. And it was just a very smooth process, for all of us. It was just like, it was fun. The chemistry between everybody was genuine. We actually enjoy hanging out with each other, and that in itself isn't something that you get on a regular basis on a show. So that and going into a show, being a part of a show of this caliber, and having comfort and genuine relationships and friendships with your castmates, it just takes takes the pressure off, takes the edge off, and again, you feel like you're in a safe place to create, and and just take risks. So I don't know what was your question again? Did I answer that? What was
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes
just about whether the approach was what it was about his approach that made you feel like you were in safe hands, and you did. You
yeah,
answer that. So
yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I do want to sort of dig into just the character of Uncle Phil, and
Yeah.
I feel like you can sense that there's kind of a guardedness at times with him, and a sense that he's always trying to say the right thing and do the right thing. And he has these big ambitions, but then certain things can fall by the wayside, like, the relationship with his wife can get a little testy at times.
Yeah.
So I mean, could you speak to just finding your way into this character and whether you found certain aspects of his personality that maybe you could relate to, things like that?
100%. Well, when I was preparing for the role, he's a family man. He's a politician. He's got swag. He's got all these qualities. And I was like, well, who today is as inspiring as this character, as this man? And for me, it was Barack Obama. He was the one that, he's the most inspiring Black man, today, in this generation. And I'm just like, and I had all these speeches that I had to prepare. And so I just used him as a reference for the character because, I mean, he's cool, he's confident, he's comfortable, he's got all the right attributes. And so I just tapped into to him for a lot of those moments, and it just helped me to drop in and feel grounded. I think that we really need to have positive Black characters on screen like Phil. And that's why I really love playing him, because he's such a gentleman, and in every sense of the word, he's a gentleman, and he's got class and integrity, and he's a good listener, and he loves his family, above and beyond. He'll go above and beyond for his family. And so it was just nice to be able to play such an expanded role, and you really helped me as Adrian, to expand and grow myself. So it was just very, very special to get to step into his shoes every day. And I hope that we get to see more characters like Phil on screen, because it's a narrative that we need to exploit. And I've gotten so many calls and messages from friends who watched the show and the scenes, and they just said, wow, thank you so much for doing, what you guys are doing. You've helped me, you've answered a lot of questions that, I've had, in my life. It's just so relatable, and it's identifiable with so many, and the relationships with the kids and with their wives and with their friends. And so they've been able to, it sparks conversation, it gets those uncomfortable conversations going. And that's what we really pride ourselves on, which is also what the original show did as well. So we wanted to, really keep that alive. That's the heart of the show, is planting those seeds for those uncomfortable conversations. And it's just so beautifully done, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I also think a big part of the show is just his protectiveness over Will.
Yeah.
And how he's always kind of reassuring him. And then obviously it's part of the reason why Will is even here, is because of what Uncle Phil did for him. Just curious, your thoughts of what do you think that he sees in Will?
Well, he sees a lot of himself in Will. I mean, Will, being in West Philly, he was he had a lot of love. His mom, Vi, was such a good mother, but he was in a position where, the people around him were, there was a lot more risk, in his neighborhood for him to go down the wrong path. And so the stakes in the original show, he got in one little fight and his mom got scared. We had to make sure that it was a little more than one little fight, and so, Phil had to, pull some strings to make sure that Will was able to come to live with him and his family in Bel-Air, because it was a matter of life and death. It wasn't just for convenience sake, so we had to really make sure that that was clear, and that the stakes were really high, and that, if Will did not, make that move, his life could be in danger, and so, that's just a testament to Phil and how, much he loves his family, and he'll do anything to keep them safe, and to make sure that justice is served, correctly, because he's all about fixing the broken justice system, the corrupt justice system. And there's so many people that are, out there doing serious time for minor crimes, were wrongfully accused even. And that's his MO. That's what he wants to, that's why he's, running, for DA. He wants to create change in that area. With Will, he sees a lot of himself in Will. Will is very authentic. When Will comes to Bel-Air, the thing that really impacts the family is just how free he is, how fearless he is. He's not afraid to just be himself and say what he feels, what he wants to say in that moment. So he's very liberating, and we all kind of take a page out of his book, and he helps me to see that when I, go back to my fraternity, and with the Yamakra episode 3, he's the one that helps me to see, oh, I need to tap into who I am. And unfortunately, when someone makes a lot of money, becomes wealthy, the area, the neighborhood he grew up in, or his boys or his friends, they feel, oh, you can't identify with us anymore. You're gone. You're out there. You're hanging out with the Elon Musks and all the rich people or whatever. But us, always people say, don't forget the little people. Well, you know what? He never does forget the little people. But what happens is when you're really career driven, you are spending more time, addressing or going after your career, and a lot of other things do get forgotten, not on purpose. It's just the way it is. But in that moment, Will reminds him, look, this is who you are. This is where you started from. These are your people, and you need to, show them that you are connected, and that they can relate to you, and you haven't forgotten your roots. And so that really put things in perspective for Phil, and that was a very fun moment. That was a great scene to shoot. Actually, I really had a lot of fun with that. Directed by Nick Copus, so shout out to Nick.
Yeah. Fun to see you let loose in that third episode.
Thank you.
But sort of speaking to that, we do get those hints of his past, Phil's past, and how he's basically, pulled himself up by his bootstraps, and he wanted to help people who were being taken advantage of, and he just has that sense of just a moral duty to help people. So I was wondering if maybe if you did some sort of flashback to Uncle Phil in his younger days. I don't know how much you've thought about his younger days, but what do you think we would see?
Oh boy, I mean, I would love for us to do a scene with Phil and Jeffrey and how they met, I would see that being, back in London somewhere in a pub, and Jeffrey, he's a top boy. He's running things out there, and they connect over a beer or a situation that Jeffrey gets into that Phil has insight on, and is able helps him out, and then I think that's kind of how it go, and then they separate. Phil goes back to Bel-Air, and then I say, Jeffrey gets into something and he reaches out to Phil for exile, for some help. And, he does the same thing for Jeffrey that he did for Will, But yeah, I think that would be a really cool thing to shoot, just showing the backstory between those two characters, because they have a really strong bond, real strong brotherhood between the two of them. And the scene that we shot in episode 9 was such a powerful scene, and very heartfelt. Just to see two grown men being so vulnerable, with each other like that. You don't see that a lot. Usually it'll get physical, and it could get a little nasty and whatnot, but we're able to keep our composure and just not be afraid to express our love for each other, deep down. And even though we didn't see eye to eye on that certain issue.
Right. Well, speaking of strong bonds, I do also want to talk about, Cassandra Freeman, who plays Aunt Viv, his wife.
Yeah.
I'd love to just know how you developed that sense of history with her. I know you actually worked together before, but just making that relationship feel so lived in.
Yeah, well, yeah, as you said, we do have history. We've worked on 2 projects prior, actually, and it was funny because when we had the camera or the chemistry test for the roles, she didn't know that I was Uncle Phil, and so when I popped up on screen, she was very taken back by that. And but we had fun, and again, the chemistry was there. Just very comfortable with each other. She's a true professional, and it's nice when you can go to work and not have to worry about that, your scene partner not being there for you, and just so available to collaborate and take risks. And if they think that there's something you could do to strengthen the moment, they'll tell you, and she does that, and vice versa. She gives me also the permission to do the same, so that we can actually help each other be better. And so I tip my hat to her, and again, to play such iconic roles like Phil and Viv, and already have familiarity with each other. That's just icing on the cake, because there is a pressure going into something like this, and so that definitely takes a lot of it away. So
yeah. Well, Adrian, I do want to congratulate you for your great work on this first season. Looking forward to season 2. And for those of you watching, subscribe for more interviews and go to goldderby.com to make your Emmy predictions. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it.